Hey folks, Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a round 2 Allied summary, Operation Blood, and we will, I guess, just pan over here to South Africa, talk about what's going on. The British and the South African units. We've got a couple transports there and a couple destroyers, a medium tank, and 3 infantry ready to slowly head north and perhaps land in Ethiopia, Italian Somaliland, or maybe in Cairo, depending on what the Italians do. The South Africa did liberate or annex the Belgian Congo last turn. The British were successful in annexing 3 of the territories in the Middle East, all of Iran, and they attacked Iraq successfully. So that's good for them. The territories are worth 5, and it's a 5 NO bonus. So very good for the British, and they still have their Navy here sitting in C-Zone 47. Unsuccessful attack in C-Zone 42, clearing only 2 of the 3 submarines in C-Zone 42. But they did sink an Italian transport over here off the coast of Gibraltar. So we'll see how the Italians respond with their Navy sort of hiding right now 4 sea zones away from the British Navy. What are they going to do next turn? Is there going to be an up-and-coming major naval battle for superiority in the Mediterranean? So the British and the Italians are sort of bulking up here, playing a little bit of ping pong with Alexandria. And I have a feeling the Italians will be definitely building some more units at their minor IC in Tobruk next turn. Over here in Russia, they don't normally do this, but the Russians did successfully go into Valpuri, which is in Finland, and they killed, I think, 12 ground units that were mostly Finnish and German and a couple fighters. And they have 4 units or 5 units remaining, and a bunch of units, fast movers, and a couple infantry set up for a counterattack in Karelia and Leningrad. So we'll see what the Germans do to respond, and the Finnish, so they do have a lone transport here sitting that can help reinforce. So we'll see what happens there. The British battleship survived, it's repaired. It's now sitting here waiting to make some trouble just off the coast of London. The Russian Navy is sitting here on the coast of the opposite side of London in C-Zone 23. The Canadians built a submarine and a transport. So they've got 2 transports here sitting off the east coast of Canada, ready to maybe do a landing in Western Europe or reinforce London, or maybe head down here and take back Gibraltar from the Italians. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't normally do this into Finland too often, or at least I've gone away from it because I find the Russians may be successful, but then they're not really defending their capital once the Germans do their sort of push from Romania. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes back to bite me later in gameplay. The Japanese, this whole Navy here on this card, basically almost the entire Japanese Navy sitting here in C-Zone 85 at a naval base with 8 transports ready to load next turn. So likely Calcutta is going to fall because Japan is going to use their sneak attack, which means the British or the Allies do not return fire on the first round of combat, which is fairly devastating. So the Far East Command did not fully pot commit to Calcutta, knowing that it's going to fall. So they've got a couple of units in reserve on the outer territories ready to counterattack, which is probably not going to do much other than they will have some surviving units. But what Hunt Like David did here was turn 1. So if you want to do the Calcutta Crush, turn 3, basically turn 1, you build 4 transports. That's your last buy on turn 1 that's going to be able to affect the Calcutta Crush. Turn 2, you move everything down here to C-Zone 85 and you build a naval base on turn 2. And that means on turn 3, you're ready to go 1, 2, 3 and do the surprise, the Japanese surprise sneak attack. So yeah, and there's nothing the British can really do to stop it or prevent it, so it's inevitable. I just bumped my table and knocked over some of the Anzac units. The KMT really still just reinforcing their position. They did get another light tank from the Americans, Lend-Lease, and they did actually go into, they've got 3 infantry in French Indochina, really just to sort of annoy the Japanese. No real threat other than, you know, the Japanese are going to have to kill it eventually. The Japanese did go into, what's this territory here? The territory right beside Yunnan. So they've got probably 12 units there ready to go into Yunnan. So if they want to take CCP out of the game completely, they're 2 turns away. So good job for the Japanese, but next turn, if Russia decides to or wants to, it can declare war on Japan. And they have about 10 or 12 units themselves that look like right now an undefended Manchuria, northern Manchuria. So how are the Japanese going to respond to that when they've got threats coming from Russia? Possibly. The Japanese do have a small navy down here sitting in the Carolines with a fully loaded transport ready, most likely probably going to take out next turn this Dutch navy here and gobble up some of the money islands, but maybe we'll see what Hunt Like David has plans for this transport. He's got another transport ready to load at C-Zone here, 106, so it's going to be interesting to see what Hunt Like David has up his sleeve. We fully anticipate the sneak attack next turn. The Americans didn't do a lot. They rolled 5 for their economy first round. They got a bonus 5 because the Axis attacked France, so they have 10, and they rolled a 15 last round. So the Russian economy is currently sitting at a 28. So the Americans didn't do a lot last turn, other than building a light tank and a couple of units. They are building at their military base here in Manila, so they've got 4 ground units there now in Manila. So next turn, expect to see fireworks here in the South Pacific from Hunt Like David, and I'm sure he's going to gobble up some of these money islands and Calcutta, likely Singapore and Hong Kong, and so we'll see how the Allies respond going into round 3. Thanks for watching, folks.